I'm wearing this blanket for the aesthetic, but also my room is freezing. Sometimes you just want to curl up under a fuzzy blanket and read a winter read. So here are 7 winter book recommendations. As I was compiling this list, I realized that most of these include the trope of characters getting snowed in somewhere, so I guess that's a thing that I like. First is Foundation by Mercedes Lackey. In one of my other video series, 20th Century Femme, Sci-Fi, and Fantasy, I really tore apart Mercedes Lackey's Magic's Pawn because it deserved it and it was a terrible book, but she actually used to be one of my favorite authors, and I still enjoy quite a few books by her. Foundation is one of my favorites. This book is set in the Valdemar universe, and if you don't know, a lot of Valdemar follows these characters called heralds who are good, brave, kind-hearted people who are chosen by magical horses called companions. It's exactly what you would think. In Foundation, orphan and mine worker Mags is chosen by a companion named Dallin. He's taken out of his awful circumstance and into the Collegium where he gets his own bed. He's never had a bed before, and he gets to take lessons and make friends, and it's just a wonderful, really feel-good book. It's a great place to start Valdemar. It's really sweet, and yes, the characters do get snowed in at one point. It happens during the climax, and there's this, like, climactic blizzard and stuff. It's great. I've read this book like 5 or 6 times, and it never fails to delight me. Next is The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula K. Le Guin. I already talked about this in my favorite book video, so I won't go on and on about it. If you're wondering, all the annotations are places where it's really gay or I cried, so. Genly Ai is an anthropologist on the planet of Winter. He's trying to convince the people there to join Space UN. Since the planet is called Winter, you can expect that it's pretty cold there. About a third of it takes place when the main characters are trekking across polar ice caps on a sled. Genly is cold for most of the book, and when I first read this book, I was in an apartment with really crappy heating, so I was like, same, my dude. Next is The Sunlight Pilgrims by Jenny Fagan. I discovered this book on NPR's Best Books of 2017 list, and boy howdy am I glad I picked it up because I loved it. It's a sort of climate change apocalypse novel where the climate change is actually a bunch of snow and ice covering the entire planet. I forget how the science of it works, there's some explanation in the book. Like another of my favorite apocalypse novels, Station 11, it's more about people and the way that they're affected by the apocalypse rather than like looting and death and zombies. It takes place in northern Scotland, and it's about a man named Dylan who moves there when his grandmother and mother die, and a trans girl, Estella. Dylan and Estella's mother fall in love, and it's just sort of about them becoming a family together. It's really sweet. As sweet as an apocalyptic novel can be. The ending is kind of ambiguous, which I normally hate, but for some reason I really liked it in this book. My next recommendation is Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. Kind of basic, I know, but they get snowed in at some point. I recommend any version of this story, whether it's the physical book, the Kenneth Branagh movie, the Poirot episode, damn it's such a good episode, or the audiobook, which is read by David Suchet, and the day that I found that out was one of the greatest days of my life. The book is actually really funny, and the Kenneth Branagh movie and Poirot episode kind of angsted up, which I also like. I like a healthy dose of angst, but like I said, I like all versions. If you don't know, this is about Belgian detective Hercule Poirot, and in 1936 he is trying to solve the murder of a murderer while he's snowbound on a train in Eastern Europe. I think it's a good starting place for Christie. One of my favorite things about her is her hilarious character descriptions. Next is We Are Okay by Nina LaCour. This book takes place over the course of a few days when Marin's old best friend Mabel comes to stay with her at her university. Mabel is trying to convince Marin to come back with her to San Francisco for the holidays, and you find out that something happened over the summer between the two of them that has caused this rift. Yes, the characters do get snowed in, but it's a really lovely book with some women loving women and a person of color love interest. My 6th recommendation is the webcomic Stand Still, Stay Silent by Mina Sundberg. This is the prettiest webcomic in the universe. Fight me. I recently got caught up on it, which is why I've been thinking about it a lot. It's all online for free, although the first 2 volumes are out in hard copy. They're on my Christmas list, so if anyone wants to buy them for me. It's about a world about 100 years after a plague-like apocalypse, and all of the Nordic countries are isolated. They think they're the only ones in the world, and though I think that, like, West Africa is probably just out there chilling and is fine, but we don't know. Most of the comic is about an expedition into these uninhabited, dangerous wastelands. They're looking for pre-apocalypse artifacts, namely books. I love all the characters, and the watercolor illustrations are phenomenal. And lastly is Green Glass House by Kate Milford. This is a middle grade read about a Chinese boy who is adopted into a family that owns a hotel called Green Glass House. Over the holidays, several mysterious strangers show up at the hotel, and you guessed it, they get snowed in. It's set in a hotel, of course I love it. It's got storytelling as a motif, role-playing, great atmosphere, and a cute male and female friendship. There's a bit of magical realism at the end that kind of comes out of nowhere in my opinion, so that was weird, but it's really cute and fun. There you have it. Next time you're snowed in, think of me and pick up one of these 7 books. Please remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. See you next time!